This week's We Need to Talk is brought to you by our friends at Manscaped. You know the score by now. We absolutely love Manscaped, don't we, here at Football Daily? And you guys can at home as well. Use the code FootballDaily20 and get all of the products at a discounted rate and free global shipping. That's the code FootballDaily20, all one word, at manscaped.com. Go over there, buy something, because by doing that, you're also supporting the channel. Right, let's crack on with the show. And of course, this is the show that looks at football over the past 7 days on the internet. 7 days that seen Pep Guardiola refusing to believe, like me too, that Jude Bellingham is just 17.
Maybe he's a liar. He's so good to have 70 years old. I cannot believe it. He's a fantastic player. I saw one image like he didn't get the ball from the central defenders, and how he shouted and how he demanded that ball to him with 70 years old means a lot.
Jesse Lingard proving that he's not only got the moves on the pitch, but the moves off the pitch as well. And some absolute scenes in the PSG dressing room after going through against Bayern Munich. Allez le PSG! Oui, oui. Anyway, this week we need to talk about the world's most valuable clubs. This week we're back on the article reactions because the top dogs in the finance world, are they? I actually don't know who's the top dog in the finance world. Is it the Financial Times? Probably, but whatever. Finance's most well-known brand, I'm going to call them, Forbes, have released their list of the 20 most valuable soccer teams in world football. Now, as ever, I haven't read the article yet, because you guys at home seem to prefer it when I react to these videos live, seeing it for the first time with you guys at home, rather than pre-preparing some answers. Easier said than done, that word. Pre-preparing. So if you want to see more videos like this reaction, like last week's Monday Night Football reaction, hit that like button. The more likes this video gets, the better it does. Let's try and get, I don't know, to 3,500, 4,000 likes. Please, and thank you. Also, before we start, I want you guys right now, get in the comments to guess the number one most valuable soccer team and how much that soccer team is going to be worth. And no cheating, because I'll know if you have. If somebody goes, oh, you know, Man City, $420 million, I know you cheated. Get out of it. Get out. Now, I've scrolled all the way to the bottom of the article, but I've had my eyes closed when I'm scrolling. That looks dodgy, doesn't it? But nevertheless, I've been told there's a methodology down here. So I'm going to have a read of this first, because I want to know how Forbes are calculating these prices. The revenues and operating income listed are for the 1920 season. That's quite key there, because that is, of course, slightly pre-COVID-19 pandemic. 2020, 2021, obviously going to be heavily impacted by COVID-19. Proceeds from lending players to other teams were excluded from revenue. So does that mean loans? I presume that means loans. Lending, loans. Surely it doesn't discount all sales. And include the economics of the team's stadium. Okay, that's going to be crucial for some. You know, Real Madrid in a massive rebuild right now. It's quite complicated, isn't it? There's quite a lot of financial jargon. I'm not going to lie. I don't understand. But nevertheless, let's just get into it. Remember, NR indicates a team that was not ranked 2 years ago. Very clear there. Okay, at 20, we've got Ajax, of course owned by club members, with a value of $413 million. That is huge for a fan-owned club. Now, they weren't ranked 2 years ago on that 2-year change, NR. Revenue of £172 million. Or dollars, I should say, because this is an American business, isn't it? And operating incomes of $1.7 million with an 11% debt value. I'm a little bit surprised Ajax is so low and that they weren't ranked a couple of years ago. In my mind, Ajax is certainly one of the world's biggest clubs in terms of fan base, in terms of history, in terms of identity. But in terms of money, clearly not. Okay, at 19, ahead of Ajax, we've got Leicester City, fearless, says the scarf. Owner, controlling shareholder, Kun Shrivadhanaprabha. pronunciation, goals there, by the way. Slightly more value, by about $40 million. Again, they weren't ranked 2 years ago. Revenue is already $17 million higher. But this is where it's going to be interesting. Operating income here. They've lost $50 million in this period, Leicester. Ajax, obviously slightly better run in a different league in terms of spending on players' wages. But they were turning a $1.7 million profit. So that's quite interesting because the debt value at Leicester, 17%. And this is why it's so crucial for clubs like Leicester to finish in the Champions League or at least sell one-star asset a year, because that one-star asset immediately covers that operating income. Champions League revenue helps that massively. Imagine this next year with no fans in stadiums, COVID hit. It's going to be ugly. Seriously. 18, we've got West Ham, David Sullivan, David Gold in there as the controlling shareholders, $500 million valuation, so we are rapidly climbing here. And operating income, just down the $24 million here. Where were they ranked last year? They were ranked, it doesn't say, but it just says they are down 18%. So I presume that's the overall valuation, they're down nearly 20%, which is a lot. That's a lot. Obviously, they had a bit of a poor season, 19-20, but now they're bouncing back under Moisinho. Jesse Lingard, he's adding value. Champions League, he's adding value. It's adding value. And if they finish in a European spot, that operating income is going to be looking a lot healthier. 17, AS Roma. Owner, controlling shareholder, Dan Friedkin. Who's Dan Friedkin? Dan Friedkin. He's an American businessman, film director. He's a film director, the owner of Roma. Is he? Come on then. What's he been directing? Friedkin was the director of 2019 film The Last Vermeer. Haven't seen it. 69% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's not terrible, is it? 6.7 out of 10 on IMDb. Not brilliant, but you know, directed by Roma's club owner. What can you say? Value, $548 million, and he actually paid for it in this Wikipedia article, which is definitely the most trusted site on the internet. He paid $591 million for that. So, bit of a struggle. And talking of struggles, look at the operating income for Roma. Down $108 million with a debt value of 56%. Holy hell. I wonder if that's going to be a theme for the Italian clubs. Okay, AC Milan, Elliott Management, of course, the owners there now, $559 million, down just 4%, so not as radical. But look at that operating income as well. Down $92 million. Dearie me. Debt value, 4%. Not as drastic as Roma with 56%, but still, that Zlatan contract is going to be eating into that, isn't it? It looks like they're going to give him an extension. Tomori, of course, is surely going to join on a permanent. I think it's a €25 million option to make that move permanent, and they'll definitely do that. He's had a fantastic season over in Italy. 15, we're back in England for Everton. Farhad Moshiri, of course, the owner of the club, $658 million. So we're jumping up now, aren't we? We're up $100 million from AC Milan to Everton, which is mad, because AC Milan, in my mind, again, one of the world's biggest clubs, best supported clubs, historically ginormous. Operating income here, £15 million, $15 million in the positive for the blue half of Merseyside, with a debt value of 0%. Pretty well run there. You'd have to say, pretty well run. 2-year change, 38% up. Farhad, it's not bad. Inter Milan. Okay, so they're above their neighbours AC, aren't they? Zhang Jingdong and Lion Rock Capital, the controlling shareholders, with a value of $743 million. Now we jumping up another $90 million here, up 11% in the 2-year change. $323 million of revenue in 2020. I'll tell you what, as well, with Inter, they're going to be rocketing up, aren't they, if we win Serie A more consistently in the Champions League. I think they still owe United for the Lukaku deal and Real Madrid for the Achraf Hakimi deal, because I've read a few things that finances are a bit shaky post-COVID. But obviously this is done the 1920 season. Atletico de Madrid are at 13. Their owner is Miguel Gil, of course. $1 billion we're up to now. We've entered the billionaire category. Okay, now we're getting serious. We're in Kim Kardashian territory. 5% up, Atletico Madrid. Are they going to bottle the league? I believe they are. Sorry, Diego. But $368 million of revenue in 2020. Woof. Quite a heavy debt value, though. 26%. It's not small. Borussia Dortmund over in Germany up at 12. A monster club as well. They have been hit incredibly hard since this by COVID-19, of course. Really got to feel for that club who relied so heavily on fans in the stadium, match day revenue. Champions League looks like it might elude them as well. Of course, they're a little way off fourth spot right now. And if that is the case, I've already read the interviews with Hans-Joachim Watzke that said they won't be taking bank credit lines. They will have to sell at least one of their assets. Personally, I don't believe that's going to be Haaland. I don't think Erling Haaland, I'm going to go Haaland, will leave this summer. I don't think you'll see a £100 million transfer because if he stays and if Mino Raiola can keep him at the club for another 12 months, of course, Mino Raiola and the player are going to get a much healthier packet themselves by letting him run his contract down to that £62 million release clause. If he leaves now, there's probably only going to be one or two players in the market for him. Clubs in the market for him. If he leaves in 12 months, he's probably going to have 8 or 9 teams in the market for him, all of which are willing to pay the agent fee that Mino Raiola wants to get that player to their club. So I think you'll see him leave in 12 months. I think Jadon Sancho might be the player that leaves now. But look at that debt value. 0% efficiency. That's what we're talking about. Back in 1920, obviously struggling now. But oh my God, I've just seen the value as well. $1.9 billion. We've jumped nearly a bill. We've jumped nearly a Kanye West there. Up to Borussia Dortmund. Okay, at 11, we've got Juventus. Slightly higher, just slightly higher than Borussia Dortmund at 1.95 billion, run by the Agnelli family. Up nearly 30%, revenue of $441 million, but a debt value at 16%. And Cristiano Ronaldo's contract is eating into that club's finances, earning a serious packet. I don't know whether they'll keep him this summer. I kind of expect Juventus to let Cristiano go this summer if the right suitor comes in. Man United fans, here's a question for you. Would you swap Pogba for Ronaldo? We're desperate for a striker. Cavani's going to go to South America. Ronaldo in, Pogba out. Both their contracts are up in 2022. Is it a fair trade? Let me know in the comments below. Now we're about to enter the top 10, the heavy hitters. Tottenham Hotspur above Juventus. You can really see how this club has grown over the last few years, even though it's struggling on the pitch now under Jose. But of course, Daniel Levy and Joe Lewis, the controlling shareholders here, $2.3 billion. So we're up 400 mil on this one. And the 2-year change is positive, 42%. Revenue at $494 million. Operating income, $134 million. A high debt value, 39%. But nevertheless, Tottenham classically have been a grower. Now they're a shower. We're at 9, we're at PSG. I'm surprised they're so low, PSG. I'm really surprised about that. $2.5 billion. Up 129% though. You can see PSG rapidly climbing these charts. If you look back over the last decade, PSG on the Forbes chart, honestly, it's ridiculous. It's like Mount Everest. Obviously owned by the Qatari Sports Investment Fund. Debt value at 0%. Operating income down $4.5 million. But yeah, nearly $600 million revenue, this club. All right, at 8, we've got the Gooners struggling on the pitch as well under Mikel Arteta at the moment. Stan Kroenke, still the owner there, much to Arsenal fans' displeasure, but a value of $2.8 billion, a 2-year change of 23% and revenue of $430 million. You can see why PSG are catching these teams, yeah? Revenue 2020, nearly 600 mil. Arsenal 430. You can see why they're rapidly climbing this chart, PSG, with a debt value of 7%. Up to 7, we've got the blue half of London, or quarter of London, owned by big Roman, with a 3.2 billion valuation. Now Arsenal's was 2.8, so we're up 400 million dollars. Again, a similar sort of change to Arsenal, around that 25% mark, but revenue at $520 million. Arsenal at $430 million. You can see what stuff like the Champions League, player sales like Eden Hazard are having such an effect here. Operating income, $34.7 million. And of course, this article takes into account the summer at the year before Chelsea's big summer spend, which is why their operating income is probably that high. If it had been next year and we were taking into account the Kai Havertz summer, you'd see that drop. At 6, we've got Man City, owned by Sheikh Mansour, $4 billion valuation. $4 billion. How much did Sheikh Mansour buy this club for? Okay, it says here, Sheikh Mansour bought the club in 2008 for £210 million. We're now looking at a rough valuation of $4 billion. Jesus Christ. 2-year change, 49% as well. They're climbing rapidly in a revenue of $600 million. Operating income is down $2 million. A little bit surprised they are that low in terms of operating income. Did they have any massive incomings in that summer? I mean, they probably did. Their Man City. Who did they sign? Okay, so yeah, they signed a few players, didn't they? Joao Cancelo, 60. Rodri, 60. Angelino, 70. So 140 million pounds worth of purchases in that summer. You can see probably where the income went. Debt value at 0% though, because it's owned by Sheikh Mansour. All right, we're moving up the ladder now to 5, and it's Liverpool. Okay, with owner, controlling shareholder John Henry, of course. And I think LeBron James is involved in there somewhere now. $4.1 billion valuation, so just slightly more than Man City. But look at that, 2-year change. Up 88%, of course. This is when they were going on the maddest of mad runs. Nearly 100-point seasons, Champions League winners, Premier League winners. So you can see why that's so high. Revenue of $619 million. That's crazy. Debt value just 2% as well, because they are a very well run club, Liverpool. Very smart with the finances. Have to say, very jealous of some of their higher ups. At 4, we've got Man United. I feel like this is probably a new low for Manchester United to be at 4. Value at $4.2 billion. Just ahead of Liverpool now, owned by the Glazers. 2-year change, look at that, just 10%. Struggling. Revenue, $643 million. And an operating income of $166 million. But that debt value there, look at Liverpool's, 2%. Man City's, 0. United's, 16% of $4.2 billion. By the way. Yeah, not great. That's a new low, I think, for Manchester United. I'm going to double check that. Yeah, it is a new low. Manchester United fall in new top 20 global rich list again. Moving up to number 3 then. As you can see, it is, of course, Bayern Munich. 0% debt value because it's, of course, member owned. Incredible that a member owned club is worth $4.2 billion and a 2-year change of 39%. Look at that revenue. $703 million. $703 million revenue. Incredible for a fan-owned club. It's going to be a weird one this coming summer, isn't it, for Bayern Munich? Because I feel like Hansi Flick is going to take that national team role, which means they're going to have to go out and they're going to have to bring in a new head coach. And I'd bet my bottom dollar it's Julian Nagelsmann. Same management, same agent as Deo Upamecano, who's of course gone to Bayern Munich as well. So I think that's one to keep your eye on. Nagelsmann going to Munich this summer and Hansi Flick going to the national team. All right, at 2, we've got Real Madrid. It's usually them and Barca battling it out for that top spot. It means Barcelona have taken the number 1 spot. But still, $4.7 billion valuation for Madrid. Look at the revenue. Nearly $800 million. Operating income at $92 million. And a debt value that's less than Manchester United's. Even though they are financially struggling at the moment, especially post-COVID pandemic. Lots been made of that, hasn't it? So keep your eyes on Real Madrid spending this summer to see whether or not that debt is true debt, or whether or not they seem to be able to get credit lines pumped into them fairly easily by getting new sponsors. Number 1 then is going to be Barcelona. Again, club member owned, but with a valuation of $4.76 billion. Seems a bit weird that it's just that tiny margin ahead of Real Madrid. But yeah, 2-year change up 18%. Real Madrid only 12%, and that revenue there, same as Real Madrid, $792 million. Unreal. $792 million. That's crazy. I have to say, though, there's a lot of Premier League sides in this top 20, isn't there? There's Man United, Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea, Arsenal, Tottenham. So 6 of the top 10 are Premier League sides. We've also got, who else in there? Everton, Leicester are in there, West Ham are in there. So loads of Premier League sides in there. But Barcelona, valued as the most valuable soccer team on planet Earth. Soccer club values are up 30% on average in the past 2 years as investors eye untapped potential in the sport's global appeal. Crazy. I reckon the average price of the top 10 there, valuation must have been above $2 billion, which is unbelievable. Alright, so those were the most valuable clubs in world football. Barcelona coming out as number 1. Did you get the prediction right at the start of the video? And did anybody guess the correct amount? If you did, gold star for you. If you cheated, get a life. Get out. Nobody wants you here. As I said at the start, though, a massive thanks to Manscaped for sponsoring Football Daily and We Need to Talk. You can get 20% off all Manscaped products using the code FootballDaily20. Make sure you hit like, hit subscribe. Thanks very much for watching, everybody. We'll see you later. Bye.